That is the...
Don't shoot your friends on this level.
bringing us into the verdict.
Never had to resort to that to even get a full fucking podcast soundtrack going. Tisk tisk.
Oh, if we were really brave, we would have just had silence.
That would have been fuck. I still have that editing choice. I can still make that editing choice later.
Still do it, but I think the joke there is probably a little fun.
That would be great. Actually, that would be amazing. Actually, to basically,
why don't you just have Jay do a plug right now of like that is nothing coming in.
The silence.
Edit that later if you want.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
sorry, I fucked the flow up, but I think it's worth it.
It could be. Yeah, no, I like it actually because I could just literally even the opening just take all music out of it. Would be hilarious, because they would just be these people would think the podcast was broke, which is exactly the sentiment we want them to have. And I love the idea that the reveal will happen at the end for anyone who actually was willing to listen to us for 2 hours.
Made it that far. Yeah, let it breathe just a little longer than you probably should have, and people be like, "What the fuck?" And that was nothing because there is nothing.
Right? Yeah. What I could do is, as opposed to having you announce it, Jay, I can just lop off the top of each segment, and it'll just say like, we know what I'll do because sometimes you mention that is and whatever. Like it can literally, I can just mute the words that you say, citing the song name or the track name, and it can just be like that is, and then it'll be a few seconds of silence, bringing us into. And that's actually that's even a better joke.
There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So I'll definitely do that. Well, before I get to the editing phase of this, where I'll actually maybe have some fun, let us go through the formalities of our individual, what I anticipate to be negatives on the blessing for Gauntlet 2. Jab, bring your guest star experience here up front of this little segment.
So you want to talk about it at first?
I want you to tell us whether you give it the blessing or not. I don't give a shit how much you say.
Yeah. No, how could I give the blessing? It's just not. There's not a lot there. And like the little bit that was there, like we mentioned before, the enjoyment of like strategizing, like, okay, the tank's gonna go in, clear the room, and then we'll follow up and do this, that, and the other. Or, I remember we were strategizing the use of the ability to walk through the walls and whatnot. So like, I can't remember who it was that had like that ability at the time, but like they were tasked with like doing something specific, and like we talked about it briefly. To strategize it. That was fun, but there's A, not enough of that, and B, I can get plenty more of that with a ton. It's also not fair to view this game like, I can do that with you guys with some modern game. We can play Helldivers too. Like, yeah, that's not what's on trial here. But yeah, I think even removing like the potential for like modern games that allow all that strategizing and communication, I don't know, man. There's nothing there, and the no music is it's just so empty. Like a good game, Trailblazer. Like this is not a full shit on the game, but like you said, I can't imagine I'm ever gonna play it again.
Yep. Jay, what words do you have for us?
The questions I always have to ask: did I have fun? Yes, multiplayer. No, single player. Would I recommend it to someone else? I can't say that I would.
No.
Would I consider playing it again, for fun via remaster version if available? I would check it out. Like, if it's like $5 or less, I might check it out. But otherwise...
It would have to be just so bell and whistle laden to actually be satisfied with the purchase,
Yeah, like I said, if it was a couple dollars, I would check it out just to see, because like it might be fun. But then if it's more than like $3, I'm like, I don't even know if it's worth it then. So I guess as much fun as I enjoyed, like as much fun as I had playing this back in the day, on a co-op level, clearly I never got to end, and now I know why, because there is no end. I always wondered in my mind, like, man, we played for a while, we had fun, like, I wonder, because there's no end. And so I guess I would have to, this leans negative, I must say, no blessing.
As expected. Yeah, man, the one-player experience it's not a fucking video game. It's exercise in stimuli-deprived tedium. It's a conveyor belt of content. It's a fucking just nothing of the no way. You said empty, Jab, was a word you used. It is. It's an empty emotional experience in every possible way. There's no emotional response coming from the audio, the music, other than the occasional laugh at Red Valkyrie shot the food. And that, I think that might the reason that is even revered, kind of, maybe that's an overstatement, but like the reason people will chuckle at that, I think is just the significance of having heard something at all. And like, it's literally when it comes in, you're obviously not expecting it to happen. You don't intentionally shoot the food 9 times out of 10. So more than that, probably. So when it happens, you're just like, oh, fuck, there's some sound.
Like, do have sound. Wow.
Yeah. The fucking sound chip on my NES isn't broken. It's just devoid of any emotional stimuli of any kind, man. And that's awful. Obviously, the first player experience. And yeah, even the multi, cool, but. We could have got that. Everything we got from it, we can get from something else. Yeah. Nothing unique about Gauntlet 2 created those emotional responses. It was all just the built-up rapport the three of us have from playing a bunch of other games and having a bunch of other conversations about video games. We're just literally filtering those previous experiences through this content conveyor belt, and
it's not adding to our experience.
It's not at all. Yeah,
there's nothing. There's really nothing there. There's no.
We're never gonna look back here and say, "Oh, I wish this game had that Gauntlet 2 mechanic." Like,
exactly.
That's a really good point.
There's nothing. Yeah, you're never gonna see a Bobo's Big Adventure Gauntlet 2. But maybe they could actually turn that into fun. That's possible. And that'll be. Like I said, I tweeted the guy our 100th episode. One of the creators of that the other day, and it sounds like we are going to get an order of verdict with all three of them, which is pretty cool. Nice. But one of the questions I have for them, listening to other interviews and stuff, they've mentioned that like the games that they almost did Worlds for, and honestly, I also read the only reason that it was limited to 8 was because of they were hard set on keeping the Mega Man 2 level select screen. So that obviously is a finite number of options that you can have because of that. Otherwise, they said, it already took them 10 years to get it out. Who knows how long it would have taken because they would have kept building levels. But 2 of the things that they mentioned that were super close calls were Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, as far as Worlds go, which of course is the most obvious thing ever, maybe. But asking them what maybe number 3 is, and also, some other things that just missed the cut is certainly some of the questions that I have to discuss with them. But it would blow my fucking mind. That's a long way of getting to. It would really blow my fucking mind if one of them said, "We almost did a Gauntlet one." That would fucking blow my mind. Because, a Bobo is a one-player experience, with the exception of that one little Contra thing, is a one-player experience. So I can't imagine how someone with a close fondness for the Nintendo player experience in the early 90s, late 80s, thinking that this one-player experience should include a Gauntlet thing, and that just kind of plays into what you were saying. Well, you'll never have someone who appreciates this gaming landscape look back on any certain specific aspect of Gauntlet and go, "I want more of that."
Yeah.
No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. So that's it. We don't take a lot of terribly misguided game app tracks that aren't generated by $100 contributions to Able Gamers Foundation or something like that. So this, unfortunately, was one of them, despite our enthusiasm about the multiplayer aspect of this. I think this was a little bit of a misguided thing. It's funny that it happens right after our 100th episode. That was such a banger, that we immediately take this. I guess it gives it, that peak and valley, ebb and flow of our data distribution. Maybe that's what will make the next one so much better, is we have this low point, and when whatever we do next will feel like the greatest thing ever for both listeners and us as players.
I'll finish it off on a positive. I will say one thing that I always took from this and remembered to this day from my time playing this game was the idea of it being like the fantasy characters in a co-op fashion. Because we played Dragon Warrior and other games where you might have some classes, but you're on your own, like, single-player RPG, which I clearly never played those long-ass games as a kid. And so, like, I always remember, like, co-op fantasy as starting with this. So I will say, I'll retract my statement as being not as harsh as it was before, because I will always, for me, think of this as, like, kind of my first foray into that before other games.
I don't think that's an apple falling too far from the tree of a point we've made a bunch of times over here, which is it being a foundational building block for many other things. But again, they missed you can have that and still miss the again, I think it's just devoid of emotion, you know?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't change that problem with it, and that is the most core kernel of necessity.
For sure. I'm definitely never gonna. I'm still never gonna go back and play it. But I'm
Don't
always
worry,
gonna
I'm never
remember
gonna play
it. Yeah,
Don't you worry.
I'm just gonna always remember it when I play other ones. Like, oh yeah, Gauntlet 2 was my first time.
Don't you worry your
choosing the
pretty little
wizard.
head. I'm not
It's
suggesting
funny.
that you play Gauntlet 2.
I do think of it like in a positive light.
Right.
Like I don't have a problem with the game. It's just there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, real quick, there's no other place to plug this, so I just got to do it now. For some reason, I can picture us playing it in AJ Kelm's room.
Really?
I had no fucking clue.
We haven't
why.
talked about AJ Kelm here in a while.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to plug it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I wonder if he had any. Is there anything in Gauntlet 2 that could create an outburst like throwing your controller through the window?
Well, I mean, that just goes to
Blades of
show.
Steel.
Yeah, exactly. That just goes to show Blades of Steel actually invokes some emotion. And some, like dopamine payoff. Like,
Yeah.
that's a perfect example. You're not throwing the controller through the fucking window over
For
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet 2, yeah. You know, there's nothing in Gauntlet 2. Maybe that's the best thing you can say about it is that, like we were talking about,
destroying property.
Here's our full circle fucking bookend things to say that bring it all back around. In our What We're Playing Now segment, we talked about the comfort food nature of SimCity and how, you know, it is just kind of this also kind of emotionless, just gradual build, but there's enough minutia to it to give you those little satisfaction moments that make it an actually good game. But Gauntlet 2 is a little bit of a comfort food thing in the same way, in that yes, it's kind of, you know, you're just gonna, it's mindless. It's a conveyor belt of content. That's, again, it goes back to that point. It's just like, it's just gonna feed you some shit that you can just stuff in your face and not think about, and it's gonna give you no nutritional value or anything. It's just gonna occupy your hand for a while, and if that's what you want, Gauntlet 2's got you.